I was finding it quite difficult to meet new people, and I kind of fell out with my previous friend group. Kind of got to where I wanted to get with the social things. I've actually probably made more friends with girls, and then I've also met guys through those girls. Probably like five good friends that are girls and five good friends that are guys. Because your stuff was extremely tailored to where I was. It's almost impossible for you to fail.
All right, this is Jacob here, and I'm sitting here with my client Michael, and in this video we're gonna talk about his experience with getting results in his social life. So first of all, thanks Michael for taking the time to be here.
Hi, yeah, it's great to be here.
Can you just quickly tell a little bit more about yourself, where you're from, and
I'm from England. I test video games as a job, actually. I was finding it quite difficult to maybe meet new people, and I kind of fell out with my previous friend group. So I would kind of thought it would be good to maybe put a bit more thought into how it is I go around making friends. Because in the past, I've made friends who maybe aren't so great, and I was falling out with them, and I was thinking, okay, well, how do I actually make like good friends, like friendships that will last?
what was missing before?
I think a lot of the times people make just friends naturally. They just kind of like pick up friends without thinking about it too much. So like you have friends from school or you have friends from work or places you go to, and then maybe aren't the best friends for you, but then you end up just sticking around with them because they're people that you spend time with. So it was quite good when we were working together to then actually think about like, oh, what are my interests? Like what is actually a good friend and stuff like that. So then when I've actually gone out and made friends, I've put a bit more thought into it and actually tried to think about like, who are people who would actually want to be hanging around with, because there was like a saying I've heard that you're made up of like the five people you spend the most time with. I think it's quite good for your well-being to be like mindful of who you're spending time with.
Yeah, I totally agree.
It takes a degree of like self-awareness to realize that there's an issue with your friend group, but then often it's like when you've fallen out with your friends, you're like, oh, actually they're kind of one great friends to begin with, and that's a point where you kind of realize like, oh, well, I want to make more friends. And I guess I kind of realized that when you're stuck in that point, and I guess it's something that happens maybe when you're in your later 20s or 30s, where you realize that I haven't actually thought that much about how I make friends, that you want to give more thought into it to make sure that you're around the right people. You could easily just make friends with anyone, but they could be terrible. And I think a lot of people do actually do that. And I've seen it with friends they'll maybe, I don't know, feel lonely, or they'll just want to have more friends. So then they'll just settle for anyone, and those people can be horrible to them or actually make them feel worse. So it kind of does take a degree of like maybe some kind of self-respect to say, actually, I'm not going to settle for crappy friends. I'm going to make sure that I'm hanging out with the right people who are actually good for me.
Yeah, and that's probably also something you experience when you have more supportive friends, as you told me. Then yeah, the environment changes, everything changes, because then you are in a more positive environment around like-minded people. What was missing before this program in your social life?
I feel like just people that I can maybe have like honest one-to-ones about is a big thing for me. Is people who maybe actually want to talk to me. Sometimes friends previously, people I'd be with would be more activity oriented, and I think a lot of people pick up friends just based on the activities that they do with people without necessarily critically thinking. So you go to school all the time with someone, or you go to university with someone all the time, you spend time with each other and you're in proximity with each other, but if you actually had to rely on that person, they're not so great. So then it's quite good to then think like, if I really had to be open with this person, would they not be judgmental? Would they actually want to like listen to me and allow me to just be myself and be honest without me feeling like I'm being a burden on them?
Yeah, I like you that you mentioned that with making friends at school, because it's kind of happened randomly. Maybe you're making friends with a guy sitting next to you in the classroom, right?
Mm.
It's not based on what are your interests, what are your passions. So when we grow up and become adults, then we drift apart, but we also maybe start realizing that, oh, okay, we didn't have much in common, or we're not a good match anymore. You set
Yeah,
higher standards somehow when you grow up, right? What
I
if?
guess I guess you become a bit more specialized. I guess when everyone's in school, they're kind of in the same boat, that they're just trying to like learn the material that they're being taught. But as you go on, your interests will change and you'll go in different directions. So then I guess you want to hold your friends to maybe a higher standard if you really want to be compatible with them.
Where are you right now? What results have you been getting by working together over the last 3 months?
I'd say I'm in a lot better place, that I feel like I'm comfortable, that I can like consistently meet up with people without having to push it that hard. Like I was actually going to meet up with some friends today, for example. Maybe you haven't reached the point that you even feel like there are people that you necessarily want to be spending time with. For me, previously, it was like, well, I've fallen out my friends group and I don't really want to have to compromise myself to be around people that I don't really want to be around.
Okay. Okay. So how many new friends have you made since we started working on this?
I guess roughly upwards to about 10. It can kind of blur a bit. Like there are people that I was getting to know prior to starting doing the program with you, and then those people, they've kind of been like not really true friends, but then I've developed like deeper friendships with them. So it's sometimes hard to quantify. So like I've met a lot of new people, and sometimes like you meet some people and it doesn't always work out, but you still learn a lot from it. And sometimes there are examples of other people that you didn't really necessarily know, oh, well, how will I deepen this friendship? So it's kind of been a mix of meeting a lot of new people. Some of the people have kind of stuck around and I've made good friends with, and some of the people I previously know I've actually been able to do more things with.
Okay, okay. So it's a combination meeting new people, making new friends, but also maintaining old friendships and getting to know them maybe on a deeper level,
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
other stuff.
exactly. Like one of the things you talked about was stuff like and I've worked on is like introducing friends to other friends, which I've done quite a lot, and then also trying to think of more activities you can do with your friends. And this, so then I've been like going to the cinema and have friends from other places that I hadn't previously seen coming to visit me and then introduce them to other friends. And it kind of just gives you like more things you can incorporate old friendships into new friendships and kind of like build more social circles there, which makes it a bit easier if you bring friend groups into other friend groups. Then if you're like, oh, we can do things together, sometimes it makes it a bit more simple.
Okay,
Um, yeah.
okay. How is your social circle right now compared to 3 months ago?
It was almost like non-existing towards the beginning of the year. I'm not sure about 3 months ago, but it's kind of gradually improved. And then from with you, it's like improved a lot. Before you're working on it, it's something that you think about a lot. But then the funny thing is then as soon as you have it and it's not an issue, then you don't necessarily think about it so much. So it's kind of something that you kind of almost take for granted, if that makes sense. Like in the back of my head almost. But it's good because that's a good thing that I don't have to like worry about it so much. I feel like I've already met up with like two friends this week. I'm gonna meet up with like two friends today. So it's previously I'd be like, wow, it's so amazing that I'm meeting up with so many people. But then you kind of it becomes so normal that I guess you're functioning more like how normal people with friends who would act get used to that. So then it doesn't seem so amazing eventually, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and it also becomes a part of your lifestyle, right? Now you
Yeah,
have more
exactly. Yeah.
more social events going on, right?
Yeah, I think you kind of just habitualize it, and that's like a lot of the exercises we worked on. It was more like to begin with, it's really difficult to do them, but then you do them so much, it's like second nature. So it's just like walking without having to think about it or breathing or something. You don't have to think
Yeah,
about it, and then it's just like you don't put so much thought and effort into socializing, and that doesn't mean you're not good at it. It's just that you've already done it quite a lot that you don't have to think so actively about it, I suppose.
done it so many times, and that's really just habits we build, right? When
Yeah,
you do the
exactly.
same thing over and over again, then it just becomes easier and easier, just like going to the gym, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So how many social events do you have going on per week?
I'd say at least about three. That doesn't feel like much. Previously, that would be like, oh my god, that's so many things. I don't want to do it. But then a lot of things just crop up naturally because I think to begin with, it's you're putting a lot of effort in to get things going. But then naturally, as you develop friendship with people, then things will come back to you, and then things will come like that. So you don't have to think about it so much. That's one of
Okay.
the things that was kind of surprising actually. Is it feels like I don't have to plan as much for stuff because I can plan for one or two things, but then other things will come up as well, which is quite nice. So then it feels like there's less of a burden just on all me to try and make things happen. Things will just happen without me having to put so much effort in because people will do things and then they'll want to invite you along to those things and stuff like that.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. What are the type of activities you're doing with your friends?
But kind of like going out into town or having something to eat, going to the cinema, doing maybe activities like sports things. We would just go to the pub or something and have drinks, or just relax or watch something. Another thing is I have a friend in London and she works at some gardens and we went around the gardens for the day. And this is what I've had working with you is you develop the ability to just see opportunities to make friends anywhere. You don't
Yeah,
have to
exactly.
necessarily think so hard about, oh, this is a place I can make friends. You just if you're meeting people, then you're kind of always judging maybe your compatibility with them.
Yeah,
which I don't think a lot of people actually do. So it's almost like a superpower in a sense to be someone who's thinking a bit more about that and thinking like, oh, is there an opportunity I can get along with this person? Because a lot of people don't really do that. But at the same time, a lot of opportunities to make friends you have to make for yourself. Learning how to take a bit more agency into your hands and see opportunities to do things. One of the things that I find really interesting because it feels so natural now compared to when before I wouldn't do it. I live by a lake, and if I walk around the lake or walk anywhere, I'd always be avoiding eye contact from people. But now I will like make eye contact with people, and then like you said this would happen. It does happen. Is a lot of people will look away, but then if people look at you, then you smile at them, then you can like engage conversation with them, and it's such a minor thing. But then that just means like every single person that you come across is another opportunity to have a conversation with someone, and it
yeah,
doesn't have to
exactly.
necessarily go anywhere. But it's something so minor that just massively opens up your opportunities to just get to talking with more people that you wouldn't be doing before.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, you just see more opportunities when you implement these things. And it's small tweaks like that that will get you in front of new opportunities. So, how do you feel about having these results?
Good, actually. I've kind of got to where I wanted to get with the social things, and it's kind of like the best of both worlds. Is things that you would have previously avoided, you have more confidence, so you're more willing to do it on your own. And then other things, you have friends, so you have more things that if you do want to do with other people, you have those opportunities.
In terms of new people you've met so far, is it like more guys or girls, or is it a mix?
When I've made friends with guys, it's been more about doing something like a sport or something. I've actually probably made more friends with girls, and then I've also met guys through those girls because I think they're a bit more sociable and just willing to just talk or meet up and just talk and stuff like that. Something that I didn't maybe have as many friends with girls before, but I think it's actually really good because I think it's healthy to have like a mix of friends. So now I'd say I have like about an equal amount of friends that are girls and an equal amount of friends that are guys. But at least like probably good like five good friends that are girls and five good friends that are guys. So then it feels quite balanced and
What do you think about the structure and the program and the exercise? Were they easy to follow, or
yeah, what I liked a lot, especially compared to maybe other people offer programs, is your stuff was extremely tailored to where I was. If I was like maybe struggling some points, which I've had at some points, it's like, well, we can like slow down and we can catch up with you. And maybe the fear I had with other programs, especially with programs that take on multiple people at once, is like, well, if you get left behind, then it's going to be really difficult for maybe for you to catch up because you get left behind. Where the techniques that you've implemented are very much like we're going to baby step everything, so there's almost you're guaranteed to succeed because you're going to give me such small steps or clients such small steps that it's almost impossible for you to fail. But then you'll see results and then you'll get more motivated and you'll take bigger steps. So that's like I'd say a really useful thing about your program is that just you meet the person, the client where they are. And especially when we went forward, is trying to adapt the mindset of not waiting for change to happen, but then if you're not willing to take that opportunity, then you're not going to see any results because you're not taking the opportunities that are available to you. Stop getting out of almost like a victim mindset or thinking like things are bad for me, but just being like, how can I start doing stuff? How can I start working on myself? And also, a really useful thing is having that accountability. It's like a feedback loop where, like, well, I'm doing the program now, so I'm invested in that, and then you're invested in me, you're holding me accountable. It's like if you want those results, it's just such a no-brainer compared to being on the fence. People should be willing to take a step and not think that they have to do everything on their own. It's like if you want to see results, you should kind of get over your ego and then go to someone who knows how to do
yeah?
it. If you're stuck on it for long enough, then at some point then you kind of have to accept that, well, maybe I need help for it. Then you just waste less time. It's like, would you rather just waste years and years trying to figure out how to do it on your own, or would you rather just like get it done and then like where I am now, I don't even have to think about it so much.
That's really where you take the necessary steps to get there. Because if you're not invested, yeah, for sure you can do it by yourself, but maybe you will waste 1 year or 2 years, or maybe you will never get the results. As soon as you are invested, then you're committed, then you have a game plan, and then you take the necessary steps to get there. If you do it on your own, then you kind of be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do it someday, and then someday you go out and it feels a little bit uncomfortable, then you just go home, or don't do it.
Yeah, if I do something in my head that's bad, like I haven't achieved a result that I wanted to set to, then I can come back to you and then we can talk about it and then we can reassess it. Or if I do achieve something, then it's like, great, I come back to you and you help me think of the next step. If you're working on it yourself, you won't do something, you won't think about it, you'll just like not want to deal with it. But if I'm always having weekly meetings with you, then it's like, well, then open up about it, and then we'll find a way forwards always. So that's actually so much more helpful for ensuring that you get results than just trying to figure it out on your own. Because that's actually what smart people do, is they find other people who have the skills to help them achieve what they want to achieve.
I know when we started working together, you were working with a therapist. How is that combination of working with a social coach and at the same time have a therapist?
Therapy will help you reach a point where you don't have issues with them, but therapy won't help you excel. But therapists can help you with other issues that you're struggling with and trying to help you with those. And whereas a coach can help you with things that you're trying to excel at.
So if I get it right, you're working with a therapist on internal things, and you're working with a social coach on getting the experience on building social.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it really depends on what you want to focus. I think like coaching's more specialized. I think everyone would benefit from therapy because they can sort out all their issues and they can be kind of normal functioning and like not have issues underlying there. But if someone really wants to excel at something and then be really good at it, then that's where coaching comes into play.
Okay, so what would you say is one of the biggest takeaways from this program?
Honestly, I think mindset, when we talked about mindset, that's one of the biggest things that I think really kind of changed the way that I look at things, is that if you go into stuff look with a negative mindset, thinking about how bad things are, then you're going to find that is almost a change in the way that you can look at things and be more optimistic almost about things, and then look for opportunities where other people aren't looking for things, like we kind of touched on, can have such massive results. If you can actually be proactive about it, be positive, and actually want to achieve results, then you'll get much further than you would with someone who's going to look for reasons not to work on themselves.
Yeah, yeah.
And adopting that mindset has been really helpful for me. You kind of go from looking at everything that doesn't work to everything that does work. Go from reasons to feel like you're not motivated to feeling reasons to feeling more and more motivated, and then that helps you like build up yourself further and further.
Yeah, exactly. And you also become a better person with the people you meet if you have the right mindset, because then you're more
Mm,
positive, you see more opportunities, and other people you meet in your life can feel if you're a person who focuses on opportunities, because people want to be around yaysayers and
yeah.
not naysayers. They want to be around positive people who don't complain and see opportunities.
People who are like very negative can then gravitate towards other people who are negative because it feels comfortable. All those people are then doing is they're just perpetuating a negative mindset and making themselves feel worse. Where if you have a positive mindset and you meet other people who have a positive mindset, then you're both going to make yourself feel better in your company. So it's if you change your mindset and then you're around other positive people, then it will just benefit you more and more. So if we're just going around being like pessimistic, really negative, then all the positive people that you could meet will just be turned away from you
Yeah,
because they'll
yeah.
be like, why is this person so negative and why don't they want to achieve anything, you know?
So, what do you think is the one of the things you're most proud of?
I think I'm just really proud of the fact that I feel like I have confidence that I can meet people and I can genuinely feel like I'm someone that people can like to a degree. I can see like the things that are likable about me and then have friends who like me for those things and then it feels a lot more real. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like that. Before you joined my program, did you have any doubts about this program?
I do think online a lot of the time there can be a lot of people who are like trying to scam other people, and it does exist a lot at the time. So I
Yes,
think
sure.
it's good for people to do their research.
How can you be sure that other people are not scammers?
Well,
What made you believe in me, for example?
because your investment in it, the fact that you like reached out to me, we talked one on one, and then we had the free consultation call. The fact that like all your stuff, like your website and your YouTube channel, is done very professional. It's like the amount of time that you've put into it. It would be almost ridiculous that you put so much time into scamming people. It'd be like you're almost robbing yourself of all this time. You're offering already a lot of free value to people. You're offering videos for people, a free consultation call, and I can tell that that's kind of like your heart's in it and something you're genuinely passionate about. The free consultation call was a one-on-one where we could talk about stuff that I could tell like you actually have this knowledge and that these are things that you're interested in.
I just want to say that I had really easy to give you these exercises because you were just a person, a client who execute and take the necessary actions. It was really easy because then we could talk about it. Then, okay, how can we get around that and how can we get to the next level?
Yeah, for sure. And you know, like early on, I remember I was like taking on all this information from other places, and you're saying like I'm going here, 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 and it's like okay, just focus on this because I can be a bit like that. And then we got a lot more results like that, I think, because
Yeah,
then I
yeah.
just focused on the program that you're working on, and then that just helped me get where I needed to get to, and I feel quite happy with what we've achieved.
Yeah, yeah, me too. Yeah, I'm really proud of you and your results. What do you think is one of your best friends you made in this program?
A friend I made on the program, actually quite towards the beginning, I actually introduced her to one of my friends who came up, and I'm quite happy with that. It's been interesting, especially trying to make friends with girls as well, something I haven't been quite as used to or haven't much experience to. And it's been very useful actually talking to you about. And she's someone who's also working on making friends herself, so it's also very interesting to have someone in a similar position where they're also working on their ability to make friends. So I think that's really helpful. That's something that I'm quite happy about. It almost becomes a bit like a superpower that you realize that a lot of people don't have these friend making skills, and it's actually really kind of humbling when you do meet people who are working on it as well, that you're like, oh wow, it's actually a really good skill to have. Then they'll always have developed those skills to be more sociable, and that just opens so much more opportunities for people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Once again, thanks a lot for helping me with this. And yeah.
No worries.
All right. If you feel inspired by Michael's story here and you want to have the same results, then I invite you to book a free consultation call with me in 3 simple steps. Step number 1 is you click the link in the description that will bring you to a page. Step number 2 is you watch the free training video. And step number 3 is you click the application form and book a free consultation call. On the call, we're going to talk more about your current situation, and that's where we're going to see what challenges you have, what have kept you so far from achieving your goals, whatever that might be. If you want to build a social circle, like Michael here did it, meet a lot of people where you can choose to find like-minded friends you want to spend your time with and that you could share your life with. All my clients started with the free consultation call, so this will help you get a clear game plan on what are the things you can work on that will bring you the results. So if you feel inspired, then book the free consultation call. And yeah, thanks for watching this video and see you in the next video.